Bienvenidos amigos, muy buenas noches. Quiero darles la más cordial bienvenida a mi cuarto, el cuarto de Ricky. Estoy aquí con mi amigo Austin Swartz, un músico con mucho talento, con una voz muy bohemia y una pasión muy candente.
What was the last thing before that?
Candente.
Yeah, what does that mean? Cool. Interesting.
So, I guess I've already introduced my friend. Now, let me introduce myself. My name is Ricardo Antonio Gabriel Roque Mercado. Now, that is my real name, but you can call me Ricky. I'm okay with that. Now, Austin has asked me to provide you guys with a little bit of background information of what Cinco de Mayo really is. What Cinco de Mayo really means for Mexicans. Now, he thought I was the most appropriate one because I'm probably the only Mexican that he talks to, and because I lived in Mexico City for 16 years. Now, before I go into details of what Cinco de Mayo really is, let me just tell you something that you might already know, okay? Which is how we celebrate Cinco de Mayo here in the United States of America. Now, if this is not your first Cinco de Mayo here in Denton, you probably know that Fry Street gets crowded. It's popping. You should go. However, do you need another one?
Yeah, I do. This one's empty.
Do you want to get it?
No, you can keep doing that.
Okay.
Keep doing it, man.
Well, we'll continue with the video. Where was I? Yes, Cinco de Mayo here in the United States. Now you probably think that it's just mariachis singing out loud, which is true. That's part of a Mexican culture. Now, something that we do not truly embrace is that we get hammered on Cinco de Mayo. Yes, Cinco de Mayo is when you get really good specials for Mexican beer like Dos Equis, Coronas, Modelo, Tecate, Indio, Negra Modelo, and so on.
I think they got it.
And margaritas. However, this is not what Cinco de Mayo really is about. Sure, here in America they were like, hey, Cinco de Mayo, I think that's Mexican independence. Let's just celebrate it and get wasted. I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly fine with that. Nevertheless, that is not what we represent. For us, Cinco de Mayo represents a date which occurred May the 5th of 1862. This date is important for Mexicans because it is the first time the Mexican army was able to defeat a powerful nation such as France. They decided to invade Mexico, and history repeats itself. They lost, and then they went back running to France, and then they got invaded by the Germans. Now, back in 1862, Mexico was having kind of financial instability. Okay, they were a newly formed government, so they had a lot of debt. Well, they weren't really new, but there was a war that had just occurred, a revolutionary war, and the government of Benito Juarez, who was back then president, who's the Mexican Abraham Lincoln. He asked a couple of European powers for money. Now, the Mexican government owed money to France, England, and Spain. However, England and Spain, they decided that they weren't savages. They're like, okay, you know what? You want to talk? Fine, let's talk politics. France, however, you know how they are. You provoke them, they think they're going to win a war, and then they lose, as usual. Nothing against French. My dad is French, by the way. Where was I? Mexican government. Oh, yes. So they decided to attack Mexico under the direct orders of Napoleon III. This was Napoleon's cousin, I think. The real Napoleon's cousin. So they arrived to Mexico. They got a couple of victories here and there. But then they arrived to Puebla, which is a city 2 hours away from Mexico City going southeast. Northeast. In the east, yes. and they lost bad. So they decided to retreat. They went back to France. And I guess that's why that date is really important for Mexicans, because we managed to defeat the French. Now, as you can see, we got a little inventory going on right behind us. But before I show you what we have over here, let me just tell you a little legend. According to Aztec tradition, la guitarra, amigo. Oh, yes. According to Aztec tradition, Quetzalcoatl, who was the god of all gods, created humankind mixing two elements: corn, which is in Spanish is maíz, and tequila, which in Spanish is tequila. Now he mixed both of these ingredients, and then he created the perfect model for mankind. Now, I don't know if it's true. I think it is though, because if you've ever had a couple of drinks with Mexicans, you know that they have really high tolerance for tequila. Personal experience. Now, let me show you what we have over here. See, every time I go to Mexico and visit my family, they give me some kind of liquor. I'm not an alcoholic, not at all. But they think it's the only thing that I enjoy, which I don't. I'd rather play FIFA. So, here's what we get. Tequila, rompope, Dos Equis. Tequila, Mexican brandy, Dos Equis. Tequila. Oh, and I get a little... Oh, this plate? It's a representation of the Aztec calendar. Okay, and then over here we got more tequila. And of course we got tortillas, because all Mexicans eat tortillas. And that is not stereotype. That is a fact. And of course, I got my Mexican flag, so I won't forget where I come from and become a douchebag. So I have it right there to remind me of my roots, of my ethnicity, and my values. And thank you for sharing some time with Austin.
Oh, thank you for your time, Ricky.
Austin, it was my pleasure. Do you have any more questions about what I just talked about?
Can I get that other beer?
Sure thing.
Thank you.